Welcome to Hope Everyday 365, where we find light in life's challenges one day at a time. Last time, failures taught us a valuable lesson. This time, optimism helps us to stay resilient. Let's be honest, when things go wrong, optimism is the first thing to disappear. Maybe you had a plan, a dream, something you really believed in. And then it all unraveled. Maybe you've tried to stay positive, but every time you do, life knocks you down again. And at some point, you start to wonder, why even try? I get it. I've been there. And I want you to hear this. It's okay if you're struggling to find hope after unexpected life changes, but you're not stuck here forever. Let's get one thing straight. Being optimistic doesn't mean pretending you're okay when you're not. If you're hurting, you're allowed to feel that way, and you should. But here's what you can't do. Do not let today's disappointment steal tomorrow's possibilities. I know this because I've seen what happens when people give up hope. My dad was an incredible man, but optimism, not his strong suit. It just wasn't his thing. If something went wrong, he couldn't see past it. I used to joke that his glass wasn't just half empty, it was dirty, broken, and completely dry. He was the kind of guy that would wake up in the middle of the night worried that he didn't have anything to worry about. Watching him, I realized something. I could either let setbacks define me, or I could focus on overcoming setbacks with optimism and keep moving forward. And that's the choice that you have too. I mean, here's something that's helped me. After a difficult setback, I give myself permission to take a pity day. Hey, we all run into difficult challenges that can hide our optimism. When I face something really tough outside of the airplane cockpit, I let myself take a full day off. I feel everything, the frustration, the sadness, the anger. And honestly, I do a mental autopsy on the situation and feel every mistake. I don't try to force optimism on that day, but then the next morning, I wake up and it's easier to see a way forward. Giving yourself space to process the hard stuff makes it easier to move on because you're not carrying it with you. Optimism isn't about ignoring reality. It's about deciding what happens next. I mean, right now, your plans might feel like a total disaster. But what if, buried in that mess, there's a way forward? It might not be the path you expected, but that doesn't mean it won't lead to something meaningful. I know it's hard to believe when everything feels broken. But what if this moment is setting you up for something greater? Some of the biggest turning points in life come right after things fall apart. I've always believed in looking for the positive, even if I have to set the bar low. I figure, hey, as long as I'm not on fire, I'm having a good day. And when stuff comes up, my friends know I'm always saying, well, at least I'm not on fire. And optimism has played a critical role in my life, especially as a search and rescue pilot. One time I was flying back at night and my oil pressure gauge dropped to 0. That's the kind of thing that'll make your heart skip a beat and cause you to lose attention on the most important things. That can lead to disaster. But my backup gauge still showed some oil pressure. I had two choices: panic or focus on what I could control. I chose the second. I found the nearest airport, set my sights on landing safely, and in my mind, I envisioned a perfect, smooth landing. And you know what? That's exactly what happened. After landing, I checked the system, and it turned out the gauge that read 0 was the bad one. The oil pressure had been fine the whole time. But we can't have illogical hope. If I had ignored the warning signs and just hoped the gauge was wrong, I could have crashed and died. Hope alone doesn't fix problems. Action does. That's the lesson here. You don't have to know exactly how things will work out. You just have to take the next step in the best way you can. Optimism works best when it's paired with smart choices and forward movement. Right now, it might feel like you're trapped in this moment, like nothing will change, and you're always going to feel this way. But this is just one chapter, not the whole book. Keep in mind, even on the darkest nights, the sun will come up again. The fact that your plans didn't work out, that's not a failure. That's proof that you're in motion, that you're trying. And as long as you keep moving, keep hoping, and keep learning to be optimistic, when facing challenges, you will find your way forward. I promise you. So take a deep breath. Step back. You might not know exactly where you're going next, but that's okay. The road doesn't have to be clear for you to take the next step. Now, tell me this. What's one thing you're holding on to hope for right now? Even if it's small, drop it in the comments. Let's find the bright spots together. And if this helped you even a little, like, subscribe, and visit oldguyinsights.me. That's me. For a lot more links and free resources on optimism. Look for the blog post. Your story isn't over. The chapter you're in might be hard, but it's not the ending. Keep turning the page. I'm sending you a big virtual hug. See ya.